So let's start with our rocking motion. So we'll come back to our graceful resting position. And even here, you might feel that there's a different way now that you connect into dropping into that graceful resting position. And then sinking into your right hand, stepping out to the left, and start to see how that Dantian connection happens for you as you go through. We'll do 9 of these, of the rocking motion. So it might start to get you a bit more of a sense of how that Dantian can be at the center of your movement. Just letting your feet feel that connection to the ground so that there's support for that charge awareness that comes with an increased awareness of the Dantian. We'll do 2 more. So here we come forward and up and back and into that right leg as you come up with your hands and resting position. And just find that Dantian again to just have that sense of a center dropping. Great. Now let's come back to bird flaps and swings. So gather that charge and feel what it's like as you release and drop. And there's just a slight heel release as you go down. And in. Release. As you go down more onto the balls of your feet. Gather that charge, and then the 3rd time around, so you dissipate a bit. Gather one last round of this. Release. Release. And around, around, and then up above the waist and graceful resting position, which then gradually does a little bit of a transformation as you just feel the dropping in. I even got a bit of a transition breath just came through. Now we go into our first forward stepping, left foot around the platter, and reconnecting with how does this work as a Dantian movement. And then secondarily, how do your feet connect? How do they know that the ground is there? How do your hands know that there's that sense of support, that connection with heavy air? So that increased awareness of the Dantian is within a supportive community. Coming back, and I'll come around one more time. Just give yourself a chance to really get this. This is the last time you're ever going to do it. How can you just really let yourself feel what it's like? And then coming back. So even in the going in and out of the movements, there is an important connection to the Dantian. Like, watch this. Like, as you come up into the second side, notice what happens is your hands lift, and just how there's a bit of a sinking and lifting, and it emphasizes the Dantian in between. So you can always slow down any of these movements and really get a piece of it a bit more. And then forward we go. Reconnecting with the feet, through the hands, and then the center of that Dantian awareness. 2 more, forward and back, and 1 more time around. Forward, staying low and into that Dantian. And then feel the Dantian connection here as you come out of it. And graceful resting position. So next is the platter variation. Again, there's that connection, and then forward. And now that we've got those pieces of connecting places, those 3 major ones I've talked about with the feet, the Dantian, the hands, gathering and releasing. Once you get those established in any move, then you might ask yourself, and how am I in this place? What is the meaning making, the intentionality? How do I want to be more fully in this movement as I feel how I move through space? And just sort of feel the wholeness of your energetic being, finding its identity a little bit more through these movements. We'll do 2 more, coming back and forward, releasing with the hands, trailing back. And 1 more time. And releasing and coming back. Dantian connection into the graceful conclusion. Then the second side, right foot forward, into the ball and release it. Trailing fingers back. Once you have your sense of how the hands connect to this new formation of movement, so they're not just disconnected through the air, then come back and notice, and how is this for the way that I'm moving through the weight transfer with my feet? How are they shifting in their awareness of how much the ground is there? And how does that affect my sense of connection with the Dantian? And we'll do 2 more. So back and forward. And back, and 1 more time around. Gather. Be in the movement, releasing it, feeling how it moves with you as you come back and in. And graceful conclusion. Okay, and now we'll come into the bass drum. So there is this kind of gathering as you come with your hands in front of your abdomen of the bass drum coming up, right? There's like something happens through the center there, and then you step forward, and now you come down and around. Because this movement, as it comes through the bottom part of the bass drum, doesn't drop below the Dantian. And I'll just show this to you again, just so you can, if you need to cross-check with yourself, you might see what that looks like. So the movement comes at the bottom of the drum, not dropping down here, but rather as you come back across, there's a sense that you're connecting with the Dantian, and even though my fingers are going down, you can see my forearms are pretty parallel to the ground at the bottom of the movement. We'll come around 1 more time, so you come down, forward, and across, and then just feeling that Dantian connection as you come up and in. And gathering again, you can feel how even as your hands start to come together as you come up, there's that gathering of charge. right in front of the Dan Chen, and then down and forward. So this is a very important way of connecting in your body, to feel how your connection to the ground can support that connection low in your abdomen to really get a sense of center, so that all the movements and interactions you have with life start to awaken to this foundation that's available to you. Come around one more time. And back. So that even as you're not doing Tai Chi, you can check in every once in a while in life and just see what it's like to feel the possibility of that connection between the soles of your feet and that whole Dan Chen area. And then here we come into the first of the daughters, daughter in the mountaintop. Left foot forward and forward. And of course, the left hand is closer to your chest as your hands cross. Drawing down and then opening. So even in this motion that has so much more of a charge gathering in your upper body, it becomes really helpful to feel that connection of the Dan Chen in the feet, to just anchor and create foundation for the movement. We'll come forward one more time, come forward, gather that charge, draw it down, release it, and open. And as you open, there's another place to connect with your Dan Chen as you come up and in. And then the second side. Gathering, drawing down, forward, and just starting to get that sense of the ebb and the flow, like a wave gathering its energy, washing up, and then receding, and let its energy flow back out again. One more time around, we come back, and now we're going to come forward one last time. Gathering, drawing down, and then connect to your feet and Dan Chen as that lifts you and spreads that charge back down again. It's great. And now we'll come into daughter in the valley. So there's that lifting, and you might even feel that connection. It's like that thing that Justin Stone's talking about with the taffies. There's always that kind of sense as your hands even draw up here, that there's almost like a taffy-like connection that you're drawing up with. So as we sink and let your hands come open, there is a connection that happens in there. So that each part of the movement, even the coming in and out of it, has a connection, a meaningfulness to it. And down, gathering, up as you come back. So here's where you really get another chance to gather that charge just in front of the Dan Chen and draw up through the center and release. opening and back. So the energy really goes through a buildup of energy, a charge increase, and then as you come back, a release of energy. We do two more, forward, release, and back. One more, gather, release, and back. And then the second side. Again, getting that feel, the connection to the Dawn Chant as your hands come up. Get yourself settled and then down. That's it. And then coming back and just feeling as you come back, just that connection to opening and back. And two more. Giving yourself to the motion as it goes forward, drawing back into your center as you come back. One more time forward. Drawing back into yourself and closing. Wonderful. So now we get to carry the ball. No, right on my right side.
I was thinking that. Do it again.
Right side.
Do it again.
Okay.
No,
Otherwise,
it's telling me.
unless somebody wants to send me a little chat and say, no, you've already done that again already. But here we go.
They're all scratching their head. Do it.
Okay, here we go. Right side. Forward. And release. Gather. Yeah, I know we did it already. I can get the feel of my body now. It's fine.
All right.
Just gives us a chance to just drop in a little bit more. Feel this particular movement and all its particularities. And two more. Gathering, releasing, just how am I here in this moment? One more time forward, just feeling yourself in the movement. And then coming back, graceful conclusion. So now we'll carry the ball to the side. So come just a little bit across. And let's feel that gathering. Your hands come across. So this is a way of connecting with that first sweeping across the Dawn Chant and then lifting up to that shoulder as you step across. And then feeling it coming across the Dawn Chant with that back hand, being a little bit more aware as you come across the bottom part of the circle to just feeling the connection. Dawn Chant moving with that and closing to your left. Slight stop, sinking again, winding up to your right, step out to the left. Second time, just feeling that connection to your Dawn Chant and how it affects you. And then your right foot's coming in as you sweep across to the left. And we close for just that brief moment and then again. Carrying across letting those back legs straighten out a bit at the knee. And the third time, in we come, right foot in. And brief close. And then winding up to the left, stepping across to the right. Now your left hand's a little more substantial. And so you have a chance to feel that connection to your Danshan as it starts to go through that rotational movement as your pelvis twists. Third time across, up and in. Brief pause. And again. Step out to the right. Across we go. And third time. Brief pause and sinking, and then as you wind up, coming across. And you may feel as you come across that there is an increasing tendency that there's going to be a bit of an effect in your lower back pelvis relationship. There's a bit of a movement that happens there. To just let that exploration happen. It's part of the awakening Danshan awareness. And close. Okay. And now we'll go into our push-pull. So here's another place where as your hands come up, watch what happens as your hands come up, you sink, you get that kind of sinking with your Danshan as your hands come up, and they both emphasize that. And then creating that bit of a sense of pushing that wave out ahead of you and helping make its peak as your hands rise a little bit at the end. And then making sure that you don't overextend yourself by starting to turn sooner than you might think with your hands. And then once you've got the feel of yourself in this place, just do a little check back through to the grounding support through your feet, very specifically, like just feeling the sensations of how your feet are there, how they know the floor is there, that the weight transfer awakens your awareness, that there is a floor there, how much you let it be there for you. And then how much does that connection to the sense of fluid support for the movement from the Danshan. And back, and we're going to do 2 more forward and back. So forward, creating that wave, releasing. That feel of being in a dream is very much the minimalist part of this. That nothing feels like it strains. And stepping back. There we go. And you'll feel as you get that sink that it kind of readjusts your relationship to the Danshan. It can settle in, not just down, but deeper into you. And then into the second side, feel the hands come up. And the back hand, in this case the left hand, is a little bit more substantial. The hand is coming forward from the back foot. So there's a connection between that more substantial hand and the sense of coming out of the left leg. Back. Just feeling the Danshan carry you forward and back. Just letting yourself drop into this kind of way of being. Feel how the coming forward with your hands connects with that. Coming forward with your whole being and torso. And forward. And now we're going to step back as we come back. And feel that connection to the Danshan as you come back to your graceful conclusion. Good. And now pulling in the energy. So watch what happens even here as your hands turn to palm up. There's like this turning in your hands and a connection of almost like a coming up of energy as your hands come up and you sink at the same time. And then forward through the fingertips. So each of the hand movements can be like a distractor because it can be so different, and to come back in to the foundation and to feel how the connection through your feet and how the connection through the Dan Chen changes in its functionality as you introduce this different energetic movement or awareness, engagement through your hands. And how does it reorient you as a way of being in the world? That if you stopped at any single moment, as if you were a statue for posterity, that it might be an expression of being in the world. And that each movement has its own different expression of being. 2 more will come forward and back. 1 more time around. Forward and back. And then sinking into your left as those hands turn, find that Dan Chen connection, come up and forward over your right leg. And then just coming back to that very important specificity of this movement, which is feeling just at the tips of your fingertips, that yang engagement as you come forward, that yin engagement as you come back. Good.
What is this one called?
So this is pulling in the energy. So there's the pulling in right here, just feeling it come in as if it's from the farthest star. And 1 more time around. So we come forward, feeling the connection to the fingertips, and then that gives you that heightened awareness as you draw back into the yin part, pulling in the energy. And graceful conclusion. Now we'll go into our tafis. So let's go slowly into this for a moment. Just kind of feel that sinking and winding up as a Dan Chen related movement. So there's that sleeping that kind of creates a bit of a connection. But then very importantly, as you step across to the left, watch what happens as you come out. That even though you're above the Dan Chen, there's a sense of drawing out energy that helps you get that connection to it, and then closing. So there's a lot of complexities in Dan Chen related movement here. The twisting and sinking, moving across, and then rising and closing. And the second time, winding up to the right, feel that connection across and through the closing as well. Sinking. So this is the foundation tafi. So coming across. And 1 last sequence, sinking, winding up to the right, stepping across to the left. Opening and closing. And sinking, winding up to the left, stepping off to the right, Feeling that connection across the Dantian as the Tafi energy opens up and closing. That's great. Now the anchor Tafi. So once again, we wind up. Now watch what happens with the Dantian as you step forward, and then as your toe comes in, you kind of wind into it a bit more. There's a bit of a compression that happens in that area. And then as you come forward, there's a real emphasis with your foot opening and your hand opening of the opening through that area. And then you come back. Let's try it going across now to the left, straight across. And then winding up to the left, stepping forward, then the toe comes in, so you turn in just a little bit more. And then as you open up, closing, and then sinking again, winding up to the left, and stepping off to the right, and just feeling that connection across the center, and closing. And then winding up to the right, stepping forward to the left, opening, winding up to the right, stepping across to the left, and across in the foundation part of the anchor Tafi. Here we go, one more time, winding up to the left, stepping forward, feeling how the Dantian opens more here, and you draw back in, and coming across, winding up, so that that movement can really start to feel how important parts of it almost are led by the Dantian as it starts to initiate the movement. And we'll just let it sink in here. Next is the wrist circles Tafi. So here you get that sense of how that connection I was showing you before gets to happen from the Dantian. So drop down a little bit first, so flat feet down, and then coming up onto the balls of your feet. So slight lift, whatever works for you. And then the third time, staying down, winding up. So you really get that sense of first a lift and then a different kind of dropping or compression. And sinking onto the balls of the feet as you get that lifting and opening of the Dantian. And then the third time, down, twisting, so the real kind of winding in that happens. And you come to your close. Slight pause, and then sinking again. We go through the second time of this wrist circles Tafi. Twice, and then down, winding up to the right. Feel the Dantian draw you across and close. Sinking, compressing, freeing up, and then staying down, winding across. It's great. And then the last time, really get that sense of lifting through the core and then staying down. Really get the sense of the grounding that happens at closing, sinking, freeing right up to the center twice, and then winding up to the left and stepping across to the right and close. And then final Tafi, which is the perpetual motion. Let's just see what that does to the Dantian as you wind up. And this will have a lot more movement to it. So a slight toe lift and then heel falls after it on the back leg. So a slight lift right there. Just make sure you're just going at a speed where you can really feel that Dantian connection as you go across. You don't leave it behind. It's good. And we'll do 2 more crosses. So here we go, across, slight toe and heel lift and back. And 1 more time, across and back. That awakening Danshan connection becomes really another way of exploring it through the graceful conclusion. Right? Now we'll go into our working the pulley. So my hand comes up. This right hand turns palm up as it's going to get ready to come back in a moment. Now, this is a really interesting one to get the Danshan because there's a lot of twist in here. So let's just go slowly into it at the beginning and feel how the opening and then drawing back on the other side, all that movement and twisting can really be helped if you really get a sense of how the Danshan is at the center of it. I would say for a practice like this, you might initially just let your arms do whatever they're going to naturally do. You can always adjust things later and just feel it as a Danshan related move. And it might just help start to organize the leg and hand position because it has something to orient itself to through the center. This is a really good one to really get a sense of how your neck can have its freedom, that it doesn't get locked in any particular way with this. So that there's just a allowing of it to have how it wants to position itself. And this will be our last one. So I'm going to come back, I'm going to draw that left hand back and in and around, and then feel the connection to the Danshan as I come into my graceful conclusion. And then I'm going to come and do my second step forward. So my left hand goes palm up, and my right hand palm forward, and here we go. And then just getting the connection. So what movement gets served by feeling it as a Danshan movement. To go forward and back. Just let the twist and the opening of my body we'll do 3 more. Forward. And feel the drawing back through the Danshan. We'll come 1 more time forward. And back. And now we're back to light at the top of the head, light at the temples. Back in position a little bit again. And so we watch this sinking down, connecting to Danshan, just coming flat-footed up to the hands above your head, get that connection with the energy, and then opening and feeling the Danshan connection as you come up and open. 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 And now this time we come in circle. There's a way that you have a sense of connection to the Danshan here, and then through your legs and feet. And then, here we go, sinking up onto the balls of the feet. So it's one of those places where you can get a slight lift of pressure with your heels. And the third time as you gather, out and around, and then you come down to your flat feet, sink down. Left palm is on the inside as you cup both hands and come up to in front of your chest and down to a very momentary pause at the resting position, and then gather that energy again and bring it up to the temples, flat feet, sinking and taking what you have to open and then gather. Feel the gathering, feel the connection to the Danshan. Third time out, and then circle. Just start looking for why. What is this circling doing for me here? Where's the way that I can find the connections? And then feel how it deepens as you come to a pause and just hold what has got stirred up there. And then feel how as you sink and open up, you really have an increased sense of what you're gathering and releasing. And the third time, up with the Danshan, out into the world, sinking, left hand cupped on the inside of the right, up in front of your chest, and graceful conclusion. Okay. Now, joyous breath. So you step out to the left. Once again, you're gathering that energy, but now you're in heavy air. You're on Saturn someplace. And as your breath comes in into the back of your throat, like Ujjayi breathing, lifting of the heels, down. Second time. A bit of a release in your wrists as you come around, so it's not as much pressure, and then you come up. Last time. And then just gently come up into your conclusion. And then sinking. And now we're going to go into our passing clouds. So this time you're going to step out to your right. So your left hand comes up. Your right hand is just going to wait for a moment. You step out to the right, sweep across, and then as you come up, it's going to become the mirror. Now that right hand sweeps across. Find a sense of passing clouds. After all that energy of joyous breath, it's really an important place to find the Danshan, to find the pacing. Cross and back. And that sweeping across the front of your body is just at about the Danshan level with your fingers facing downward. We'll come across one more time. So here we go. Cross sweeping, and the right hand sweeps you back onto your left foot, and graceful conclusion. And then we get into our 6 healing sounds. So I'll say each of them ahead of the movement. So first of all, this right hand is going to stay sort of just gently facing face down, while the right one comes up, palm forward, as if you were going to do working the pulley. And then we're going to do ho. So ho. And then next one is hu. That back heel lifts up just a little bit, but not much. And then su, like that. Su, as you sweep across. And there's a real long pressure on the part. And then sha, sh. Right, top front foot comes up just a smidgen, just releases the ground. Sh, sh. Now the tree comes. Tree. Like that. Here we go again. Ho, ho. Hu, su, su, sha, sh, she, sh, chui. Last time across. Ho, hu, Su, Su, Sha, Sh, Shi, Sh, and Chui 5 times. Chui. Sweeping. Chui. 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 And coming into your full. Chui. And close. There you go. And finally, our cosmic consciousness. Here we come up. But now you have a pretty darn good sense of the kind of things that I'm going to suggest to you. So, how do you know your feet are there on the floor? What are the sensations that locate you? So you're not just getting secondhand knowledge, you're actually looking actively for sensations that really locate you there. It's not a passing glance. You're really engaging with the truth, the facts of what's there. Under the ball of your foot on your left foot, through the whole right foot, and from that you can start to feel a little bit more fully through your legs how the right leg functions all the way up to your pelvis, how the left leg is an important piece of the puzzle as it creates this anchor in its yin orientation. And then from the pelvis, feeling how it connects up through your spine, how each vertebrae might want to sit on top of the next, so that they have a chance to come out of unconsciousness and join in community all the way up through your neck and into your head, so that by the time you get that slightly downward tilt in your chin, you've got some awakening awareness of what happens when you do that and how your eyes might gaze just slightly unfocused through those fingers as if you're looking far away. And then from there, you can come down into that Dantian area and feel how it might connect you back down through the center and into the ground again. And then we just come to our conclusion, just to bring some gratitude for the sense that we are all part of something much bigger than us, and yet every single thing we do makes a difference. And that the more we are here in this moment, the more the world can be truly the way it is meant to be.